Okay, I'll see you soon. So one day, a man journeys to go visit his local priest. And when he arrives to talk to the priest, he says, Father, I have been doing much spiritual work, but the times in contemplation and meditation when I am at home is so full of noise as my family are constantly noisy and busy. And therefore I cannot do my practice while at home. It is far too much of a problem for me. Not only is the distraction of my family, but there is the local noise. The old house is forever creaking, and the dog always wants to go for a walk. Yet I try to lock myself in my room, and even there I cannot escape the noise of the family. And if I put myself in a quiet corner, one member of the family comes to talk to me and tell me about their troubles of the day. And another will come and tell me about the troubles they will face tomorrow. And my wife is always saying, I must be more attentive. How do I follow my spiritual path when I am so full of all these distractions and difficulties? How do I stay true to my time of meditation, contemplation, and keep my eye on spirit? Why is the world providing so much difficulty to me when my heart is desiring the truth and the world seems to desire to keep me from that truth? Tell me, what should I do? What is wrong with my practice, and where should I now go to contemplate and meditate? And the priest sat with the man just for a while, but he sat in silence and never said a word. And after some time, the priest said, come back tomorrow. And the next day, as the man left for work, the priest arrived at the house and met his wife and family and said to the wife, here is a needle. Your husband is planning to go to the other side, to heaven, and aims to take all his clothes and his possessions. Could you ask him, please, to bring the needle to the other side with him? Because when I get there, I will need the needle to repair my clothes. And the wife was in a little bit of disarray, not really understanding what was being spoken. But the priest had left without saying another word. And when the man returned from his work and walked into the house, the wife told him what had occurred that day, that the priest had been to visit, and said that he will need a needle when he gets to the other side, and you are to take that needle to him when you leave this world and arrive at the other side. But the man just laughed, realizing the truth in the story, that nothing in this physical world you will take with you to the other world. And all those distractions and pains, the difficulties of loved ones, the perceived difficulties of tomorrow for the loved one, all belong to the physical world. And the man needed to be true beyond the distractions to his spiritual practices. Even though the temptation to go hither and thither was great at times, he had to be focused on what truly mattered. Is the pains of a loved one, the challenges, the hopes and dreams, are they more important than your desire to see spirit? And you should put your viewpoint of spirit first and let your connections to the loved ones be through you to that true connection. Your spiritual practices will bring spirit to them, to the uninitiated. But you can only do this if you are true to what is most important. So honor your times. Whatever spiritual practice that you do, know you do it for yourself and for those around you. And you will affect their life as much as you will affect your life. And yet at times you will need the reminder to stay true, the reminder that what is important is not in the physical world. And if you can make that connection to your truth, then you will bring that truth into manifestation. And the peace of spirit becomes peace in you, which then becomes peace in the world. The flow through you towards that life which you perceive in front of you is enriched all the more for the beauty of spirit you allow. So you bring truth to the illusion. You bring calm to the calamity. You bring hope to the despair. By purely allowing spirit to do that work. Be free and be open, and allow spirit into the lives of those which do not know it yet. Let them feel the presence of joy that sits in your heart, so that they too will require to know the words of spirit. So it is not whether your children or your partner are distracting to you. It is how pure your progress is. And then you bring the light that you would not always or otherwise have perceived. So after the healing list, we'll show you how one who sees the truth and one who does not see the truth looks at the world. So may I have the healing list of names now, please, Brent?
Larry and Nancy, Susanna and Stephanie, Karen, Ross, Alex, Amanda K, Rob K, Abby, Aiden, Susie, Amanda, D. Cook, Jonah, Alexis, Julia, Tamar, Ashley Church, Carmen, John, Emilio, Ross, Lisa, Liza, Jody, Kristen, and June, Jen, Danny, and Tegan, Anne Marie Lynch, Petra R., Laura, Carrie G., Ant and Leela Collins, Helen, Bob and Val Oswald, Howard, Deborah, and Teresa. Thank you.
The following short story may, to the uninitiated, feel quite simplistic. To those who have some glimmer of the truth, may relate to the story and give them direction. To one who knows the truth, it'll be seen just as the truth. And if you sit with this story afterwards, it will tell you how to proceed deeper. It'll connect to other lessons and other teachings at other time. It'll bring together a vast amount of teaching, which, if you sat with the story, would reveal itself over time. So let us begin. It is only short. A lady walks into the studio of a potter. And she watches the potter at work. And he takes a piece of clay, puts it on his table, and makes a jug. And then he takes another piece of clay and puts it on his table, and now makes a cup. And then he takes a third piece of clay and makes it into a plate. Now, to one that is uninitiated, they see a jug, a cup, and a plate. To one who has some symbolism of the truth, may look deeper and look to try to understand what is the moral of the story. But one who knows recognizes that they are all just clay. You see, the substratum, the foundation, the bit beyond all form, is exactly the same. It is spirit. And spirit sometimes manifests in different form. And it looks to be different. There is a male there and there is a female over there. A tall one and a short. And those who have done no spiritual work will just see the form. But the form is projected onto spirit and therefore gives the impression of a jug, a cup, and a plate. But every form, although it looks different, comes out of the same material. Perhaps immaterial might be a better word. And when that jug, cup, and plate are finished with, eventually they will become dust and may well become form once more. So when you look at another, perhaps another face on this screen now, it'd be very easy to point out all the differences to yourself. But can you look a little deeper? Can you look beyond the physical form and get some indication of what is underneath the form? Can you perceive that there is a unifying factor which allows the form to come through it and then be seen into the physical world? Can you see the similarity, not the difference? Can you see that the form is no more than a projection on the clay? And what molds that clay is the impulse of the potter. The potter here is the samskaras of life, which mold the individual shape and life that will be lived. That energy that flows through consciousness then will eventually still, and with consciousness watching, creates a life that will be lived. Can you see the ocean and not the wave? The wave may rise and fall, but the ocean is the truth and not the wave. The wind just pushes a wave ever higher. And then the wave will form and then dissolve. For those practicing their spiritual work, it is this realization that all form is from the substratum of spirit. All form comes from and returns to the everland of spirit. And it is spirit that gives life, and karma which creates the life. It is spirit that places the consciousness on your hearing right now so that you hear. And you are aware of the noise. Without consciousness, you would not hear the noise or see the sound or feel the breeze or taste the water. Yet man thinks they are the five senses and all the organs which the senses work through. Yet without consciousness, they do not work. Why do you look at senses when you should look at the consciousness behind them? Why do you see jug, plate, and cup and not clay? Well, your mind has been trained to watch Maya as it flows around the world. So those following spiritual practices look beyond the world that is seen to find the truth of clay rather than the physical form which must one day dissolve from view. But as consciousness withdraws from the body and the body then crumbles, consciousness lives on. Lives on and may take another body, another form, and live again and again. It is of no consequence to consciousness that the body is no longer. It is of no consequence to consciousness that there is 100 bodies or 1,000. It does not hurt it one little bit if it was to create 1,000,000 bodies or 10 million, or to take them all away. It is not damaged by the physical form. And yet all of this still comes from the great being which gives birth to consciousness itself. And this can be experienced in meditation. And it is a wise man that once said, when the mind doesn't see, when the mind doesn't hear, when the mind doesn't know, there remains the infinite that is beyond experience. So if you think a little more, your sleep state over the hours of darkness, is the withdrawal from seeing, hearing, feeling, thinking, and withdraw from the awareness of the body. And in those states, then, there is still the presence. You still exist, but you have just detached from the physical world for a number of hours. And if you were but to look at your sleep state truly, you'll see that you are still present. Just connection to the body and mind have been separated just for a while. Now, the world that you live in is very rajasic, very movement oriented. No time to settle. Always a need of your time in another location. And one looks into the future and says, there must be a time when I will be able to sit in peace and not have to be here, need to be there. I should be doing this. I am forced into doing that. And you look back in time and you say the olden days are the golden days. When you remember the times of positivity and forget all the trauma that you faced at that time. Unless it was sufficiently major to warrant a memory. And yet tomorrow, today will be your golden day. So fill it full of the riches of peace. Sit in your truth. Sit with the Lord. Sit with your higher self, your spirit, your relatives which are no longer of the physical world. And find your truth and your peace there. Do not chase your expression until you know your truth of yourself. It'll save you so much time and effort. Just honor your truth first and let your truth then be visible in the world. Show the world that you are indeed made of clay. And you may sow the seed into another so that they may find their own clay. And they another and another. Then the truth of the world will be seen by all. And gradually the need for the world will step to one side. And then you will remember your lives, not one, but all. And you'll see them all necessary. Because they were all pointing, leading you, pulling you ever forward to this moment. The moments today and the moments in the coming short periods of time. When your mission was to bring light into the world. And you can only bring that light into the world by realizing yourself as the light. And dusting off all that is in the way. So then the potter declares his clay. And the pots can be marveled at the beauty that the clay has created. And the substratum is seen everywhere, not just in the pot. The substratum is in the flower and the tree and the animal. The rock, the stone, the water, the wind are all made of the same material. What is separate becomes unified. And the commonality is made clear. The expression through one cultural belief or another is still from the clay. And even though karmas and desires of communities, of cities, of countries, they all still originate from the same substratum of spirit. And yet they traveled during years over many decades. Only one day to crumble and to be no more. So look at your jug, your cup, and your plate. Can you see the truth? When two eyes become one, the body is full of light. God bless you all. May peace be forever in your heart, and let it out into the world.